Okay, so this is the second part for the introduction of developing with Blazor. Please remember to subscribe to the channel, share the videos, like the videos. Let us know also in the comments anything you would like to learn about .NET Core, Azure, and Unity3d. Okay, so this is a Blazor WebAssembly application. As you see, the difference from the Blazor server application is that in here we have a project for the client application, a project for the server application, and a shared project which will have our shared classes. So you will see that the default template has some default pages, counter, fetch data, and index. These are actually Razor views, and some of them have code. You will see that this page actually have this add page. This is actually the way in which you define routes for Blazor. So you put page and add page, and then you specify the actual route for that page. Inside a code block, you will have all of your C# code that you will be able to invoke or execute. You can invoke code from elements. For example, from buttons, you can specify add and the actual event that you want to handle, and then you set the actual function that you want to call. So in this example, you will see that for the onClick event of this button, you will invoke the increment count method. The increment count method will change the value for the current count. It will add +1 to this variable, which is a private int. And then as soon as this value changes, it will be reflected in the page. So if we run this application, you will see that when I click the button, we will see that that current count semicolon value will, well, the value that's after the semicolon is going to is going to be automatically changed as soon as I click on the function. So basically, I am not changing what it's rendered, but since it's using a value from this from the variable, it will detect the changes. So that's one of the features, the great features that Blazor has. As soon as you change some value that you are using or that you have rendered, it will recognize the change in the value and it will update it. So, yep, click, and yeah, and I am not implementing any change in the value for the component. It is all Blazor. Now fetch data. You will see that when I load this page data, it will render all of this code. It will put like loading if forecast is null, and when forecast has already retrieved data, it will execute the else. It will recognize the changes and it will evaluate this again, and forecast will not be null, then it will render the table. So if I go to fetch data, we will see that. Okay. You see that in here we have this function on initialize async. It is an overridden function that all of the components have, and in here you can invoke your logic to retrieve the data or whatever you need to do in the page when it's initialized. You will see that in this case this is invoking the JSON async, the weather forecast from the controller, which is this controller weather forecast, and it's using a get, so it will execute this. It will execute it will execute that controller's code. As I was saying before, the loading is shown because the forecast variable is null, but as soon as the data is returned, it will be updated, and then we will see the table instead of the loading. So basically this variable changed, the value for this variable changed. This variable was being evaluated here and it's being iterated here. So as soon as it changed, it recognized that it is no more null, and then it goes to the else and executes all the logic in the else block. Okay, now there are some other things that you can see. Uh, Blazor allows you to create or to share components. So you will see that here we have this component which is named survey prompt, and it says please take our brief survey, which is a Microsoft survey, and I can actually build that component in other places. So let's see. Basically, what it does is it just take you to the to Visual Studio Blazor survey. Okay, so right now it's only on the home page. That this is already a shared component or a component that I could reuse in any other place. Currently, this is being used only in the survey in the index.razor, but I can put it, let's say, in the fetch data. Let's say that I am going to show it always. Survey prompt. Survey prompt. Survey prompt. And let's see values that I can. This is a test. So if I run the application again and I go to the fetch data page, I will be able to see another link for the survey with a slightly different title. So this one says, how is Blazor working for you? Please take our brief survey and tell us what you think. And it says, in this page, it says, this is a test. This is a test. Please take our brief survey and tell us what you think. How does that work? Basically, the survey component has public properties that you configured as parameters. So basically, when you use your component in other page or any other component and you set the values, it will set those values and do whatever logic the component has with those values that you set as parameter. There are also other things that you could actually do. You can override a couple of other methods. You can override on after render, on after render async, on initialize async, on parameters set, async, set parameters async, and also the should render, and you can specify your own logic in those methods. So this is basically an introduction to Blazor applications. We saw how you could create a small Blazor application and Blazor server application, also how you could create Blazor WebAssembly applications, and also how you could use some components. Uh, Let us know what you would like to learn about Blazor. Put it in the comments and we will create more trainings for you. Thank you very much and have a great day.